his name and he appears.
Is there like a 2-minute delay between my YouTube and my Twitch? It's weird. Anyway, hi Kira. How are you? I'm okay. We've done a lot of I've done a lot of pick things up and put things down the last few days. But I am surprisingly okay for picking things up and putting them down. We all got new mattresses. And like I had to build the frame for Eli and deploy his mattress. And then I had to take his old stuff and take all of that outside, and part of the box spring bounced on my toe and busted my toe up a little bit. And we just got the frame for the new one for Aaron and I today. So theoretically, that's tomorrow's project, is putting that together. Ow. So, I thought I'd do something different today. Because I spend a little time on in these two Reddit things, because people ask questions that some of them are questions that I'm surprised people are asking. But I guess I shouldn't, because people have different experiences, and depending on how they're taught or not taught, then they're going to have different opinions. They're going to have these questions. And so I wanted to take a little time, not a lot of time, but a little time, and look at some of these. I just talk about it. I don't want to, like, I know last time I did Reddit stories, I was typing out answers to people. It's like, I'm not, that's not fun to watch somebody type. But, like, here's one. There we go. Collapse navigation. Okay. So, and also, some of the responses bother me, because people do, there's a joke in Christian circles that I've heard. It's about Sunday school. It's about kids in Sunday school. And the teacher goes, "What's an animal with white and black stripes that looks like a horse?" And a kid goes, "Well, I know it's a zebra, but since we're in Sunday school, I'm going to say the answer is Jesus." And all power and glory be to Jesus. But you have to meet somebody where they're at. And you can't say, I don't think it's necessarily usually appropriate to have like somebody pour out their heart and tell you something they're struggling with, and then go, Jesus will take care of it. Bye. In fact, Jesus actually tells a story where it's like, if your friend comes to you and they're cold and they're hungry, and you say to them, be warmed and be fed, but do nothing for them, what good are you? So that I think that's why I'm on here, because I try to give like practical advice. Okay. Struggling with mental health. I know nothing about this. I know nothing about mental health at all. Sarcasm. Hi, so I've posted on here a few times. Just for context, I suffer from OCD. In the past few months, it got really bad to the point where I was hitting myself because of the thoughts so much that I fractured a finger. Jeez. Okay. I recently made a post. Please look at my profiles about my brother. At the time, I was in a bad place with my OCD. It's been just over a week, and I've really improved. Okay, my therapist said she can see a big difference, and the thoughts are slowly having less impact. I still get caught up here and there, but I'm trying to push on. What I'm struggling with now is in relation to the post I linked above, which you shouldn't link. Okay. Reading it for context would probably help, but essentially the title is what I was struggling with, especially because of what I said in the moment and me feeling selfish. From the comments, I realized that selling souls isn't biblical. Okay, wait. I was trying to avoid this, but what is this? This must be the one. Oh, this is the link. Okay. So they made the same post on two different threads, but this is the root post. So I guess we have to read this for the other one to make sense. Okay. I made a post on this earlier, and someone's response has really messed with me. I suffer from OCD, and I recently made the choice to take things slower in my faith as my mental health has grown quite bad. My intrusive thoughts have varied throughout the years. I've had this disorder since a child, and I'm now 20. One of my main themes is around religious scrupulosity. I don't even know what that means. Specifically, fears of following the devil or selling mine or anyone's soul. These thoughts have been a real issue for years, and I think it has built up quite a lot of fear in my life. The main issue I'm dealing with right now is the reminder of what happened almost a year ago when my OCD was really bad. I was traveling to see my grandma with my brother. It was a 7-hour journey, and from the very beginning, my OCD was attacking me. One of the most difficult themes I deal with is moral dilemmas. My OCD will give me these horrible moral dilemmas where it feels like no matter where I turn, nothing good will come from it. On the journey to my grandma, I was getting intrusive thoughts about selling souls. It gave me thoughts that I had to choose between mine or my brother's soul. When I arrived at my grandma's, in my room, I started the long compulsion of arguing with myself about the thoughts of selling souls. I was repeating to myself that I would never do it, but my mind kept filling me with thoughts of you have to choose. What is even harder is that OCD can also create false memories, so I can't even remember what I said. But I'm fairly certain that I said I wouldn't sell my soul, because if I were to do that, it would bring negative consequences not only to me, but to my family as well. So I'm worried that I said I would sell my brother's instead of mine, and I hate myself right now. I feel like a selfish shit who values their own life over others. I'm trying to be compassionate to myself because my mental health was bad back then, but I still feel like I've made a grave mistake. The reason why this is affecting me so bad now is that when I was arguing with myself, the light in my room suddenly flickered off, and then I heard a book or something fall in the room and make a sound. The house is very old, and the light in the downstairs bathroom also flickers off, but the fact the light turned off and the book fell over seems so scary, like it's an evil spirit or something. Now I can't get past the fear that my brother's soul is damned because of me choosing to protect myself. I know biblically selling souls is not something that can be done, especially other souls, but the fear still feels very real. Why did the light turn off? Why did the book fall over? Especially after saying I would rather save myself. It's so selfish, and I really hate myself right now. I went on ChatGPT to get some relief, and it said that wanting to preserve your own life isn't selfish, but a normal human response, but I just feel selfish and ashamed. Also, OCD can pin you into corners where it feels like there is no way out. This is the situation I was in, where it felt like I had to answer. In my mind, if I chose to protect myself, I could then protect my family, including my brother, but I don't know. I'm really struggling with this, and the light turning off and the book falling is really scaring me. The response to my previous post from someone was that they had a similar experience where they felt like they had to choose between their mom and their dad, and they chose their dad. And their next day, their dad died. This is really scaring me now. I love my brother so much and would never want harm to come to him. I hate how I used to be, and I want to change this, but this is really holding me back in fear. Please, any help and advice would be appreciated, and please could you pray for me and my family. This means somebody downvoted it. I'm in the way. Hang on. Let me get out of the way for a second. Because anytime you post on Reddit, it by default has one. There's one upvote. This means somebody downvoted this. But okay, let's go back here. An impossible choice, didn't know what to do. I was struggling really badly. I made a mistake. All of these things I realize now put my mind at ease a bit more. What I'm struggling with now, like I said in the previous post, the whole coincidence thing, the light turning off and book falling. I know selling souls isn't possible, but now I'm invaded with thoughts that have invited some sort of evil spirit into my family's house, especially when I said I would save myself over my brother in the moment of anxiety I was in. And it's still something I'm ashamed of, but I'm trying to be compassionate to myself and remind myself that I suffer from a mental health disorder that has distorted my life. We're going to come back to this in a minute. But yeah, I think that's what YH means. That's what I'm struggling with right now. I've prayed to Jesus for protection of my family and their lives and houses, but my faith is kind of halted right now. I try to read the Bible on weekends, spending some time journaling and going to church, but not to the same extent as I used to. I guess I'm just trying to take it slow. But now I'm afraid that because I have decreased in faith, that my family won't be protected anymore. I just don't know what to do. I think in the room I said something along the lines of this over and over again. I would never follow the devil. I would never sell my soul. My OCD makes me think I have to choose whose soul to save. I love my brother, but I would save my own soul because it means I can protect the rest of my family. Something along the lines of that. I can't remember if I said the last sentence like that, but I'm really ashamed of it either way. Because of OCD, it felt like I said it wrong, so I kept repeating it. Then at some point, the light flickered off and the book fell and made a sound. Okay, we just read the story. I'm just afraid of then saying those things. I summoned some evil spirit that is now attacking my family. Even though they are fine, I'm just afraid. I know that selling souls isn't biblical, but I'm just afraid. The way to face OCD is by facing the fear, but it feels so selfish trying to do that. Even just now, when I wrote the last sentence about my brother, my mind makes me think I didn't feel guilty when I wrote it or didn't care, and that really scares me. I know OCD is called the doubting disorder, but it's just so difficult to move past the doubt. Also, I've been trying to ignore the thoughts, so I was playing a game on my phone. I got bored and decided to spend $10 on it, and now I feel so guilty. This disorder is so draining. Thank you for reading. Any help or advice would be much appreciated. Okay. There's so many mental health disorders. I do not have a direct experience with OCD. I do understand this doubting thoughts, though, because I went through a period where I would do something, or I would go to do something, and it would be something stupid. I'd be like getting dressed for work, and I'd have a red shirt and a blue shirt next to each other. And I would grab the blue shirt, and a voice in my head would go, wear the red shirt. I go, what does it matter? It's a blue or red shirt. It doesn't matter. Wear the red shirt. Why does it matter? It's just wear, like, it would get loud and angry. And I'm like, and I'd be like, fine. And I put on the red shirt and it would stop. It was obnoxious. It's probably as mental. It's one of the worst times I could think of just struggling with my own brain. So particularly about that, like that sort of thing I kind of get, but this is like to a whole extreme. So this could be, as they've said, very bad OCD. And they've had it since they were a child, right? So that could be true. I believe they believe that's true. And they probably have OCD. I don't think the light flickering and the book falling has anything to do with anything. Sometimes stuff happens. Weird stuff happens. And the spiritual can affect the physical. I think this specific thing, this is hard. This is gonna be a hard sentence to say. I strongly believe in mental health treatment. I believe there are 100% like mental disorders, and sometimes you have to have medication. I've been on a whole bunch of medications for my own situations. Actually, not on any of them now, but like I've been on them. And I know people who were on lots of them for all different stuff. But now it's like everybody has a mental health disorder. It feels like, I do not have empirical evidence for this, but like it feels like it would actually be stranger to find somebody who was not diagnosed or diagnosed either professionally or self-diagnosed to have some kind of, oh, I have ADHD. Ever been to a doctor for it? No. I just I'm a scatterbrain, so I have ADHD. Like, that's not indicative of a mental health disorder. Some people are just scatterbrained. I think this is mental health. I also think there is a spiritual influence here. A negative one. Like the devil's trying to play a game here. Trying to take advantage of somebody who is already weak. And I wonder if when people, like, how many people with who are diagnosed with mental health disorders on medications, but the medications don't super help.
Wowzers!
Hi,
Truth
Poe.
o' one heart.
Thank you for the sub. Thank you for the 42 months. But how many people are diagnosed just because they're different? Or how many people are diagnosed because there's actually a spiritual thing going on, but the world can't detect a spiritual thing and goes, oh, well, this is a mental health thing. We have to medicate you. And like I said, for some people, perfectly, like 100% viable, has to happen. I think everybody should go to therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy. I don't know how many people. I think we're over medicated. I think we're overdiagnosed and over medicated. And the thing about this story is making the choice didn't matter. I don't know if you noticed that, but either way, it's like they felt too selfish to choose themselves. They felt bad that they made the choice that they made, but it wasn't even a choice. There was no choice to be made. I think there needs to be, and this is me going super super high horse Christian-y, I guess. I think there needs to be a conversation here about some kind of like deliverance thing too. This is the one comment here. The love of God is the cure for all darkness and mental illness. The love of God is light, and in that light there is no darkness. So when we love with the love of God, there won't be any darkness in us either. The love of God reveals the truth of Jesus Christ. The love of God is full of light and life and hope and joy and peace and happiness. There is no anxiety, depression, fear, or torment in the love of God. So when we love with the love of God, we can't be depressed or anxious. It's impossible to be full of those things when we are actively loving God, ourselves, and those around us. The best way to receive this love of God is to give it out ourselves. We reap what we sow, so the more we love, the more we will be loved. We already have the love we need to love with. God gave it to us before we were born. All we have to do is make the decision to let it flow out of our heart. God is love, so when we love, we connect with God himself. The perfect, selfless love of God is the most excellent way of life there is. How does that help? How? Like, nobody loved with the love of God more than Jesus. Jesus, when praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, was so stressed he sweat blood. Are you going to tell me that Jesus on the cross wasn't depressed? We know he got mad. This whole take is like, it's like somebody went into ChatGPT and said, give me a bunch of lines about the love of God, about it being light and peaceful. And this is what it gave them. Unacceptable as an answer. This post, this is tough. There's a lot of really tough stuff in here. How does it say there are 2 comments? There's 1 comment. This is 2. Where's the other one? Refresh. Maybe I got to refresh. Nope. Can you tell I look at IT stuff for Reddit? I'm getting ads for IT stuff. Like, can I save this? Okay, I'm gonna save this and I'm going to respond because this drives me up a wall. There's 2 kind of responses I can't stand. Well, I guess there's 1 kind of response, but it goes a couple of different ways. The kind of response I can't stand is the response that doesn't do anything to address the actual question or the actual post. If you're not referencing back, if you're not talking about something from the actual post. Hi, Summer.
Summer 274 blanky. Summer 274 blanky. Summer 274 blanky.
Oh, Blanky is the name of the emote. I'm like, Blanky? What in the world? How you doing, Summer? Poe, I don't think I asked you how you're doing. How you doing? But anyway, I'll finish this and I'm going to play the Dragon Ball game. I know it's 1 post, but like that was a really big, heavy post. And this tipped me off. I know they're trying to help. Like, I get that you're like trying to give something hopeful. I understand that. But this is not, you're not doing anything. You're not saying anything. You're not referencing anything except for the very first line that says it is a cure for mental illness. It's been a rough week. What happened? What has happened to the summer? But this is the only thing that even talks about anything in the post. Everything else is just platitudes. These are things you could make a poster of and put it up here. Picture this, okay? I could go to ChatGPT right now and put this in and be like, give me a beach scene with this statement, and I'd get a super pretty picture because it's a lovely thought. It's not even wrong. I think it's incomplete, but it's not wrong. But it has nothing to do with what went up there. And it drives me crazy. Just work things, and I'm pretty shaken from what happened to Charlie Kirk yesterday. Okay, I'm going to ask this question. Do we want to take time to talk about what happened yesterday, or do we want to just play a game and not talk about it because that's the only thing anybody's talking about? I'm good with either. But I'm gonna dealer's choice this one. There we go. I had to click some stuff. It's that second part. I mean, the first part I think is a complete, like, a human being with empathy should be having the first part. It's the second part is like the people who don't have the empathy. My TikTok this morning, I had like 3 or 4 creators that I know that I do not follow. I don't know their name, but I recognize their face from stuff. Like, I know these are big content creators that aren't political people. And they're like my comments were flooded with people who are celebrating this, and if that's you, get out of here. I don't want you here. You are a terrible human being. We should never. I had a coworker on my team that found out during our planning time that was laughing. See, that's not okay. This is another human being. It doesn't matter. It should not matter, and ultimately does not matter, whether or not you agree with somebody else. There is no place for this. There's no place for celebration. Nothing good happened. Everything bad happened. There was one creator that I heard that I got his, like, it's funny, I got a follow-up post later that I didn't watch the whole thing. He's very colorful with his language, and he talked about how deplorable all the people celebrating this are, and said at the very end of his original video, said, if you are one of these people who is celebrating what happened, I hope you get fucked with a sandpaper wrapped cactus. And that was the end of the post. And I thought that was hilarious. And he's like, I'm going to lose some followers for saying what he said. And then his follow-up post, like, he clipped that like the first part of that, and said, I gained 100,000 followers overnight for that statement. The only time that I would think that any kind of celebration is appropriate, and I don't think it is, because I think every human life has value, and as long as you're alive, you can't change what you did. You can't change what you did, but you can always change what you will do. And the only time I've ever thought that it was like, okay, this makes sense to have this reaction, is when SEAL Team 6 got Osama bin Laden. WWE trotted out John Cena because they were live on TV when it happened. And John Cena came out and got on a microphone and in front of the entire crowd went, I want everyone to know that they just got Osama bin Laden, and the crowd erupted. Like, that's a situation that I get. But on the flip side, he had a family too. I can't imagine being happy that someone I don't agree with politically or religiously got taken from their family. Exactly. There's disagreeing ideologically in any way with anybody should be a source for growth, for self-reflection. Why do I believe what I believe? Where did I learn this? Why do I believe this? taking out a terrorist is different than talking about somebody who only opened the floor for open debate. Exactly. There's the old phrase, don't kill the messenger. He was a messenger. He was a messenger. That's what he did. Agree or disagree, that's what he didn't push any buttons, he didn't tell anybody to do anything. He didn't incite people to go do stuff. Like, in fact, the thing that he told people to go do was like, go read your Bible. Go find Jesus. That was the thing that if he told people to do anything, that was the thing. And that should say a lot. Because a lot of people in public discourse, when they have strong beliefs and they talk about their strong beliefs and they stand by strong beliefs, they tend to encourage people to believe everything that they've believed, to follow what they say. I hate that. And as far as I know, he didn't do that. He didn't tell people that they had to believe what he believed. He asked people why they believed what they believed. And then had open debate with them from his perspective. There's no place for this. There's no place for it. There's no good reason for it. There is nothing that justifies this. But people think like, oh great, now we don't like. No. We should never be celebrating the loss of life of somebody, regardless of how we felt about them. I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say. It's just disgusting. The act itself is disgusting. The celebrating it is just as bad in a different way. I can tell you one good thing. The only thing. It never should have happened. But it reveals the inner heart of a person. When big things happen, the way people respond tells you what's really in their heart. So if you have people who are screaming for equal rights and civil rights and free speech and everybody should have the same rights, and then this kind of thing happens and they're like, yay! Your heart has been revealed now. You're not about equal rights. You're not about free speech. Because if you were, you would understand the reality of what's happening. And what you're really saying is not, I want equal rights. What you're really saying is, I want to be over someone else. I am not over this person or this type of person that I want to be over. And to do that, I need to have more, I need to be different. I need to have different rights so I can be over them. I think that it's always inherently been God's design, God's original idea for everyone to be genuinely equal. Different in responsibility, different in skill level and giftings, but ultimately equal. It's supposed to be the human life, as brief as we get, is teamwork. Without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech. That's true. 100% that's true. But we are supposed to work together as people. As Christians, especially. It is literally mandated that we are supposed to work together and support each other with our giftings in love. And we are supposed to extend that love and that kind of support to those who aren't Christians too. It's supposed to be for the world, but Jesus specifically says, this is how the world will know that I love them, by how you treat each other, by how you love each other. It can't be clearer than that. But we fight about all of that. We're fighting everybody about every issue, and it drives me crazy. We can have opinions, and we can have differing opinions. We can interpret the Bible differently. As long as we're not taking it out of context, because that's me. What's going on, Rebel? We can interpret the Bible differently and get different lessons from the same verse. I think, as long as you're not like going way out of left field from what it says, and that's okay. I had this thought, and I could not tell you the surprise on their face. I'll tell the story in a second. The more frequently this evil is happening makes me know in my spirit we're getting closer and closer to Jesus coming to call his children home. You and Aaron are of a very similar mindset in that specific thought process. But I was in college, and I forget how we got on the topic. I think we were talking about denominations. And I said, very specifically, I said, I think the problem is that as denominations, as Christians, we look at it. This is where I wish I could like draw. I can't draw. Actually, do I have something to draw on? I can make this as ghetto as possible. Hang on. Because I think this needs visual. I think visual makes the most sense here. There, I have an envelope. I have an envelope and what is this? A super small thing. What's going on, Gers? ACNH as a drawing board. I do not have my Switch connected to my computer right now. And I don't think it would take me so long to do what I'm going to do in ACNH that it wouldn't be worth the time. Okay. So as Christians, there is I cannot, I'm going to try to draw something three-dimensional, and that's going to be a mistake. I don't know why I'm doing this way. This is stupid. Okay. So, let's pretend that's a throne. That's the best I got for you. It's really bad. Let's pretend this is a throne. Okay? Whether you are a believer or not a believer, Jesus is on the throne. Period. End of discussion. No notes. No questions will be taken at this time. Jesus is on the throne. Period. And we, as believers, in unity, I'm going to put just Bell everywhere. No matter your walk of life, no matter your denomination, no matter your skin color, your race, your creed, your language, whatever. Believers are supposed to be looking at Jesus on the throne. That's where we get our guidance from. That's where we get he is our guiding light. Someone get this man a whiteboard and a dry erase marker. I don't think we have one in the house. You know what? If I still had Harold or whatever we called the pen. I mean, I could draw this in Paint. I could put Microsoft Paint up here, but I'm not Pirate Software, so I'm not going to do that. So anyway, this is the thing. Rebel, ain't nobody going to Dollar Tree at this point in the night. It's not happening. But here's what we do. Here's what happens. I'm gonna make the same mistake twice, which I should not do. This should be a higher back on the throne, first of all. Okay. So, new picture. This is where the dry erase board would have come in handy. So, we got Jesus on the throne, right? Instead, here's what we do. Talk amongst yourselves. You have a topic. Jesus is on the throne, and we're all looking at each other. And we fight. We fight each other. A house divided against itself cannot stand. We fight against each other. And then, just to make matters worse, we yell at the world. We look at a broken world. We have a broken, sinful world. And we know the answer. We know the solution. I saw a Reddit post today where somebody said, I feel like Jesus' sacrifice is for nothing because we're a bunch of degenerates and the world is still broken. And I had to respond to it, and I said, the problem isn't that the world is still broken. It's not that Jesus' sacrifice was for nothing. Jesus' sacrifice gave us the opportunity to heal. The opportunity to heal ourselves, to have God heal us, and the opportunity to bring healing to our little corner of the world. And as everybody's little corner of the world gets healed, the world as a whole gets healed. But Jesus' sacrifice was not supposed to be the flood part 2, where the whole world gets instantly fixed. It gives us the opportunity to look up here to do this. To look up at the throne and see Jesus and see the way the world through his eyes and how he can use us to heal the world. But we do this, where we're too busy arguing with each other and then yelling at the world because they're not doing things the way we like them to do it. But we're not even looking at the source of all the problems. Or the solution. I'm sorry. The source of the solution. We're not looking up here anymore. We look here. Which makes us no better than this. People go through tragedies created by other people and blame God for not interfering. We were given free will, and this is what we do with it. Turn on each other and want to hurt each other. Right, how is that God's fault? If fire from heaven came down and smote someone, I think that's the active for being smiting. Like if fire from heaven came down and boom, like literal act of God, like if it was an insurance thing and you could call it an act of God, then you can blame God. But that's not what it is. It's not God's fault. We did that. We do that. We do this to each other. This whole thing. I didn't mean to grab it this way, but it's a perfect illustration. This is the thing. We do everything to each other and forget about the one who gave it all for us. I ended that Reddit post, my reply to that guy's Reddit post, by saying, can you imagine how bad the world would be if Jesus didn't come? Imagine if there was no sacrifice. And it's not even the sacrifice. It's not the death. Tons of people have died for their causes. Jesus is the only one to come back. People die for what they believe in all the time. What happened yesterday to Charlie Kirk. He died doing what he believed in. He was actively doing it, and he died. He, sadly, will not be coming back. Jesus did. The world has moved so far from God that unfortunately things are going to keep getting worse. Yep. All we can do as believers is continue to follow his word and try to spread his word to save others. Yeah, that's true. That's the point. That's the point of this whole thing, is like, we need to go from here to here. I capped my marker, but I got one more thing. Because when we're all focused here, what that does is it shows his love to the world. That's our mandate. What is the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. In these contained all the law and the prophets. That's the thing. To me, there could be solutions through finding middle ground in any disagreement, conflict, and coming together like Jesus would want us to, but I understand it will never be that simple. Here's the thing, Rebel. It is that simple. If you boil it down to its core, it's that simple. But we add all of these layers on top of it that make it complicated. Sorry if anyone's just trying to be chill today. My heart is really heavy. TikTok is flooded with atheists and agnostics talking about how since yesterday's events they have picked up a Bible or prayed today for the first time ever. I feel like I'm grieving a family member. Yeah, Summer, you and Aaron should talk. You two are having very similar experiences, and I feel like you two should, like, communicate and bond over and just share. That's just my opinion. And Summer, that's why before we got deep into this conversation, like, I said, if we don't want to talk about this, let's not talk about it. But if we want to talk about this, I have no problem talking about it. And nobody said, like, they just wanted to have a chill night. And you guys know, especially, I will literally stop everything that I am doing to have meaningful conversation here. I will stop everything to make that happen. If I was in the middle of, like, a Dragon Ball game, like, I might finish to then, like, so I could fully focus on the thing. But it's not just us. All over socials, Christians are feeling the same. Complete strangers. The body of Christ as a whole, most of us are feeling this loss in the same way. I fall under the not most of us part. Not because I'm not Not because I'm not sad, not because I'm not grieving. I am 100% baffled by it. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, what do we do now? I'm looking at like, what's the next thing? What is our response going to be? But there's a world. I don't know. But think about that, and this is going to sound wild, and I don't want to be offensive here. But Aaron, to go back to what you said about TikTok, TikTok is being flooded with these people who've like never touched a Bible, like opening a Bible and praying. If that person's goal was to silence the faith and the rhetoric, it's having the exact opposite effect. And I don't think it should be politicized. I think there are places that are going to make it about one side did this versus the other side did this. It's not. I think that's wrong. I think that's manipulating and really twisting what happened for some sort of other kind of capital. Like that's not okay. It has to be by picking up the microphone and unapologetically sharing our faith without fear of how the world will judge us. Yeah? No, it's 100% being willing to. My approach is always to engage people where they are. I have like a pick your spots mentality because you want people to be able to hear it. At this point, the social media aspect of spreading the word of the Bible can be seen in two ways: annoying spam or truly inspiring. But that doesn't change whether or not it should happen. If I started making TikToks tomorrow in my car or whatever, and started sharing it, because I have a lot of thoughts like through the course of the day. I've come up with like entire sermon ideas. I got a couple of notes in my phone. If I started doing it, I can't control how people react to it, whether they think it's spam or inspiring. But if I feel the Holy Spirit leading me to do that, then that's the important part. The problem with that is it's not about what you think or picking your spots. It's asking the Holy Spirit to guide you, and the rest just clicks. But that, okay, so this goes to a thing that happens a lot, where it's inherent. I didn't say it, but I guess I was implying the idea that it would be Holy Spirit guided picking your spots. Like, ideally, the Holy Spirit reveals the opportunity and guides the conversation. If I'm sitting with somebody talking with like one other person, for example, sitting and letting that conversation be guided by the Holy Spirit, then the opportunity, like, revealing and then going, okay, this is the spot. That's not picking then, it's listening. Or being obedient. Okay. But like, I think it should be. I think the like listening to. I think listening to the Holy Spirit it should be like a constantly active thing. It can be like more in the forefront of your mind at some point or not, but it should be for believers, in my opinion, like an always on. That was your hydrate, Rebel. It's funny. I brought an iced tea down here too, but I haven't. I don't know how long this Gatorade's been down here, but it's still kind of cold because it's in the basement. I'm shy with new people, my social, but I get that heart tug to talk to somebody. I'm going to be obedient. Well, yeah. I guess when I say pick your spots, what I mean is most of the time blasting people, like just dropping the gospel message on somebody's head with no warning, no follow, no warning, no lead up, nothing, and just being like, "Hey, here's the gospel." I mean, if the Holy Spirit leads you to do that, then yeah. In my experience, usually there's like there's more conversation that goes into it. Like there has to be. Well, there doesn't have to be, but like there usually is because people are more receptive if they feel heard, if you're meeting them on their level. And that's part of being a servant. Like Jesus tells us to serve each other. And not think of ourselves more highly than someone else. I think that's a part of it. It does kind of make me want to bring crossing and grace back in some fashion, though. I was actually thinking of taking like a screenshot. Now this doesn't work if I get rid of the green screen, which I was thinking about doing. But I was thinking about taking like well, no, I guess it does, just a different way. Taking like a screenshot of like the backdrop of Crossing in Grace and making that a backdrop here. That way that I don't it would simplify my life because I wouldn't have to like get the Switch, boot up Animal Crossing, run over there, try to make sure the screen doesn't go dark every 5 minutes. It'd make my life easier. but still have the effect. I'm open to opinions. I'm open to thoughts. Because I can tell you that I personally have felt like that's part of why like the stream title says like I wanted to start in like r/Bible and r/TrueChristian. And I only got to one story because I didn't expect it to be like that as heavy a story as it was. How would we play the tambourine before sermon? I could figure that. I could find royalty-free tambourine music. Good night, my dear. I will see you soon. Potentially, if you're not sleeping. I think I have a tambourine. I could just get on next to you and just wail away. just comes up into like this side microphone. Rattle, 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 rattle. Thanks, dear. Love you. That would be really funny. Can we hear one more story? From Reddit or me? Or like what story do you want? Because I'm, no lie.
Say his name and he appears.
I have had this playing in the background, listening to Hit go, this stance should be optimal for the last 45 minutes while we're talking. I've been ignoring it, but it's there. Like, and this is the music. Like, I've had this muted for you guys this whole time.
This stance should be optimal. Still not good enough. I can do better.
This has been what has been looping in my ears for 45 minutes. I could have closed it at any point. It's 100% on me. But, like, that's the thing. The menu theme is a bop. I'm not... You guys are 100% accurate with that one. Okay. Did I... Oh, I closed my... Did I close my Reddit page? I closed my Reddit page. It shows a Reddit page. I don't have this Reddit page anymore.
Still not good enough. I can do better.
Okay, Rebel, do you want... I wonder if I go to the menu. Okay. all other events. What is that? What is that? Gritty Goose? That's pretty funny. Okay. Okay, r/TrueChristian or r/Bible? I should switch back to just chatting, I guess. TrueChristian? Because I never got to Dragon Ball. Just. Juiced. Hype train emote? Ah, okay. r/TrueChristian. Okay. I'll give you two choices based on just the thumbnail I'm looking at here. Am I a little slow or something, or I want to become a Christian but? I mean, we just spent a while talking about this one, this concept, so I don't want to do that one. Let's hear I want to be a Christian. Okay. There's two comments. Ow. Okay. I want to become a Christian, but everyone and everything about church feels so fake to me. I feel like people in church only have one goal, and it is to look better than the guy sitting next to them. When inside the church, people talk about all the beautiful Christian values and live by them for the hour or two they're in church. As soon as church is over, it's back to being the disrespectful, rude, hateful person they really are. The same people acting in church 2 hours later will tell a homeless man to kiss their ass. I know I'm being somewhat biased because it's my personal experience of a handful of people that have made me resent church and Christianity. I know there are good Christians out there that live a good, honest Christian life. Deep down, I want to have a relationship with Jesus and become a better person. I just need help getting past this one thing. I'm not allowing myself to open up and accept what is free for me to take. I do not understand why. I blame all of my problems in my childhood on God. I'm the kind of person that gives the finger to the sky and cusses Jesus every time something angers me. How can I claim to not believe in something I have so much resentment for? How can I claim to... That's a very interesting way to end that. I like that they commented, sorry for the typos, I was in a hurry when writing this. You can edit. You can edit. But okay. Because this is not wrong. I mean, it's not universally true. It's clearly true in their experience. Like it's whatever this person has experienced. Like this is clearly true for them. This is their experience right here. And they even say that. Like, I know I'm being biased because it's my personal experience of a handful of people. My personal experience of a handful of people. But this is a remarkably self-aware post. This is a level of self-awareness that not just people on Reddit, but like people in general don't have or use. They just it is very rare because they're saying that like they know that they have experienced a handful of people who are this way. And know, like, they want to be a believer. They want to follow Jesus. But they're trying to get past this hurdle. And this is what this, I can't believe I'm bringing back this stupid envelope. That's what this does. That's what this does, because notice how we are the roadblock between the world and Jesus. Let me do it this way. We're in the way here. And this person is experiencing this exact thing. They're here. They're trying to get here. But they're getting stonewalled. Here. That makes me mad. It makes me like flipping tables in the temple mad. That makes me woe to you, scribe and Pharisees, you hypocrites, mad. So like this is earnest. I'm actually going to say this one too so I can respond to them because they deserve like a real response. I'm not going to type that out right now. But I this question is interesting in the context of the rest of it. This I think is the key, this sentence. I blame all of my problems and my childhood on God. Now, we don't know what the childhood is. We don't know what they experienced outside of this. So, but we don't know, based on this post, if that is connected to the childhood thing. But if you have resentment towards God for the things that have happened to you in the past, then it is very difficult, to nigh impossible, to then also say, but I love you and you're my Lord. You can't do that. You can't do, I love you and you're my Lord, lead me, but I also hate everything about you, and every bad thing I've experienced in my life is because of you. You can't do both. Might be a sign to make an effort and start a new relationship with the Lord as yourself, not thinking about others and reading the Bible from a new connection. Right, because this gets away from this, the part about their experience of hypocrites, basically. This is a short version of this. Their experience about hypocrites and them expressing that is almost separate from this, right? Like, this is something, and you could respond to this if this was the whole post, just this top part. You could still say, following Christ is a personal choice, and the fact that other people that you have seen, that you have identified their hypocrisy. Other people should not stop you because it's a personal choice. So you could make the choice and you don't have to be like them. You be one of these good Christians that is living a good, honest Christian life. You be one of these. Peter asks, what about this? Well, what's going to happen to him? And Jesus says, if I let him live until I return, what is that to you? You follow me. It's personal. It's not about what other people around you are doing. It's about what you're doing. But then we get here. Like, here's the cognitive dissonance. I can see the disconnect in OP right here. It's this. I'm not allowing myself to open up and accept what's free for me to take. I do not understand why. And then goes on to explain exactly why. but they don't make that connection. They don't cognitively see that I don't understand why I resent God. Well, if you resent God, you can't do the other thing. And then how do I claim to not believe in something I have so much resentment for? It's like you can't be an atheist and hate God. Because atheism is the belief that there is no God. So you can't hate God and also say he doesn't exist. And that's where we're at here. That's what this post is. Right. How can you hate something that doesn't exist? Have you heard the Pete Holmes? Hang on. I'm trying to see if I can find the...
Some people think...
Okay. I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is fantastic. I love this.
God created the universe. Some people...
So if you don't know who this is Pete Holmes. He's had a lot of... He's done a lot of guest spots on TV shows. He had his own show at one point. He's very funny. But recently has been talking a lot more about faith. Recently has been talking a lot more about like faith and comedy and his faith and all these things. And this joke came across my TikTok a while ago, and it is I love this. I love this.
Some people think God created the universe. Some people think nothing created the universe, which is the funniest guess. And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing. That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove, or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything, that's a pretty goddamn magical fucking nothing, you guys. And ask the nothing people, what happens when you die? They'll tell you, nothing. You go into nothing. I'm like, you mean you merge back with your creator? That's heaven, bitch.
Like, and it's so true. It's so true. The logical fallacy of nothing turning into everything, and then you go back to nothing. But somehow God, which would be literally a rational explanation for nothing and turning into everything, and how all of this complexity exists. It makes more sense for there to be a being that is outside of our concept of time and reality, that made time and reality that as we understand it, than it does to go, well, it just happened. Things don't just happen. Not like that, anyway. Saw a video yesterday where someone was saying there's such a high attack on Christianity right now because it's the only true religion and the only one he needs to combat, and that resonated with me. I saw a similar one where somebody was talking about Hollywood specifically and how Hollywood was attacking Christianity. I was like, why aren't they attacking anybody else? Because nothing else is a threat. Nothing else has power. Nothing else has unique power like Christianity does, and that's because Christianity has the only God. The only actual God. We might have. Did you know if gravity was slightly less powerful, everything would fly apart, and if it was slightly stronger, everything would be crushed into a ball? Gravity is exactly as strong and as weak as it needs for life to be on Earth. What are the chances that all happens on its own? Was it the one talking about who they were choosing to play Jesus? No. They did mention that. But it wasn't about that. That was mentioned as like a point to make their larger point about things being under attack. We did? Okay. There is a great... I think it gets a little unnecessary at the end, but there is a great movie, a documentary that came out, it was like mid-2000s. I'm going to look up the name because I can't remember it. It's a Ben Stein movie. Expelled. Came out in 2008. And if you haven't seen this, you should see this. Because the premise of it was that there were professors, like tenured professors at high-level universities who were being fired and then like blackballed so they couldn't get another job because they dared to suggest or even outright say that they doubted, didn't say it was necessarily nothing, but they doubted evolution. And that there was more evidence, that there was evidence that another valid theory was intelligent design, which is the scientific way of saying there is a designer, some sort of creator being, not assigned to any specific faith, but a creator being that made the universe as we understand it, because the odds the odds of our world and organisms and all of this stuff existing as it does in the harmony that it does, with how things like work all together, the odds of that happening are so astronomical. The number is 1 in so big that it makes more sense that it was designed, that something intelligent designed it. And there are people who are deists who believe that God, I mean, I can. Oh, there's a lot of people. Why are you? Have you seen if there's more comments? Let's see. I used to feel the same. Okay, that's the thing. Sorry for the typo. As someone who disapproves of modern church culture, doesn't a church yeah, valid points. But yet again, you have to remember that being a Christian is not dependent on you attending church. The church is meant to reflect Jesus. If it's not doing that, if it's doing things Jesus wouldn't do, specifically outright sinful things, then it's pointless to commune with. For your second part, I was the same as you. When I was at a bad time, I would curse curse God on a daily basis because of the stuff I was suffering, and no one else seemed to be remotely affected by. But over time, I realized that only was this not God's fault, or that we hadn't asked him. But even if we do screw up and say these things, he still loves us. This helped me open up because he opened up first, and his love for us is not dependent on our performance or what he did. Don't know the root of your resentment exactly, so can't address it, but I hope this helped. Let me know if there's more details you want to share. Perhaps I could give you a perspective. Oh, is this you? Yeah, this is valid. Here, I'll give you an upvote. That's valid too. This person, 1, come to Catholic Church. This is division. This is causing division here. 2, stop judging your brothers and sisters. No, we're supposed to call hypocrisy. That's correct. And they're not brothers and sisters to them. This person is not a believer. If you believe you have something good to contribute to people, lead by example and change the culture. I'm downvoting you. This response is meaningless. This response has all sorts of personal, bias towards it. Come to Catholic Church. Specifically Catholic Church. The other churches are awful. Oh, in the Catholic Church, totally humble, totally isn't two-faced. We are above reproach. No. I got a little ranty today. I apologize. Big stuff happened. I've kept my mouth shut a lot lately. I didn't want to anymore. So everybody, thank you for hanging out and talking. We had much more talking, which I think is much better for me in general than just playing through a game and being boring. I think the best games that I've played are games that cause us to have deep conversations. I love the Payne's Creek killings still. Because the Payne's Creek killings, we got so into the lore. It was fantastic. Thanks for the deep conversations, of course. Thanks for the conversation. My heart feels a little less heavy. That's good, Summer. See, one of the things that I think contributes to hearts feeling heavier is if you don't feel like you can talk about it. if you have these emotions and you have to hold it inside because you're like, well, I don't have anybody that I can really just like let this out. That makes it harder. But like when you have other people who support you, and you have other people who like can hear you out, just getting that, I mean, it's literally the phrase, like, getting it off your chest, right? Like, that lightens the load a little. Especially because, as believers, the only way we can help each other up, help support each other, is if we know what's wrong. We have to know what's broken. But if you don't tell us, we don't know. So I'm glad we could help Summer. I have a lot to reflect on. Going to meditate on this. Have a good night. You could truly make motivational TikToks about these topics. I've thought about it multiple times. I don't know if I have been in the right place personally to start doing that. But I might be getting there. Maybe. Don't know. Anyway, that's going to be stream for tonight. Thank you, everybody. I hope this was a good and redeeming, helpful stream. Rebel, Summer, Poe, Kira. I'm sure Aaron's asleep, but Aaron and anybody else who came in and hung out and just listened. Appreciate you. And we'll see you next week. Until then, be safe, be blessed. Have a good night.